You are live, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, James. Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call the Anna Reynolds Project Building Committee to order. It is our regular meeting of this Thursday, December 16th. It's about 5:16. Jeff, would you do the roll call for us, please?
Yes, members are asked to signify their presence when their name is called. Mr. Camillo.
Here.
Ms. Rada. Mr. Azad. Mr. Azad.
She's here. She's muted.
I'm here. I'm muted. I do have to leave early. My daughter has a concert I need to go to, so I'm just letting you know that.
Ms. Parati.
Here.
Ms. Dugan. Mr. Wetzel.
Present.
Mr. Woods.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, Jeff. Next item on our agenda is public participation,
Nobody with us.
and nobody's with us. So that helps a little bit, I guess. Take action on the prior meeting minutes, and it is, I believe
These are
there's
the corrected minutes.
the
These are the
corrected minutes.
of
Yeah,
November 18th.
right, November 18th. If I could have a motion that we accept the corrected minutes for that meeting by someone? Mike? Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, thank you, Mike. Jeremy, you want to second it?
Sure.
Okay. Any discussion on those? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is anybody opposed? The motion passes then unanimously. Next item is take action on a third-party reviewer of design. Actually, you know what? Maybe I should back up a little bit. Let me move my little cursor here so I can see faces and officially welcome Amy Parati. I don't believe she was on our last meeting. Amy, were you? Or did I
was
not
on.
remember?
Yes,
Okay, yeah, so I'm old, I forget. But Danielle, I don't believe you were on, correct, at the last meeting, so welcome.
I was on.
Oh, you were? Okay, so
Yeah, it's
that's how
okay.
good my memory is. Anyways, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm glad that you are here, and you're going to see that we're a pretty good little family here. We get along nice, and we'll keep this project moving forward. With that, we're going to take action on this third-party reviewer of design. For those of you that are new, what this is the town officials, meaning the building department, the building inspector, and fire inspector, have the option whether they want to review the plans in-house, meaning town of Newington employees and their staff, or they can require us to hire a professional of their picking to do it, and that's what they chose. So we will have, I believe, a motion here to take action on that. Do we have a motion, Jeff, or no? Did you?
I didn't write one up, but just looking for approval of the proposal as presented to the committee for third-party review.
Okay, do we need to name it as was it Vestige? Is that the name?
It was Versteeg Associates, and the amount is $11,050.
Okay, so if someone would move that motion.
Move that motion.
Thank you, Mike Camillo, and a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Jeremy. Any discussion? Again, this is not anything we really have a choice in. And it should help us move it along. And I know that the town is busy, their staff with a lot of things going on in town. So this will hopefully move along a little bit smoother and quicker. So with that, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Is there anyone opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Our next one is we have a bunch of invoices to take action on. And Marnie, I'm going to turn it over to you to walk us through those, okay? Probably
Absolutely.
just
Are
before you
they-
start, Marnie, before you start, Jeff, I'm going to have Marnie read through them all. We could do it in one motion, correct? We don't need to do several
Yeah, you
motions.
can approve the invoices as presented. There are 8 from Enviromed Services that total $41,075. And there was $43,845 encumbered. And there's one from the construction manager, Newfield, and that is for $15,000. And that would, that's of the $73,200 in pre-construction services that the committee had already recommended to the town council.
All right, Marty, thank you. I just wanted to make sure we could do it in one motion. So go ahead.
Yeah, yep, no problem. Just in case any of the members have any questions. I think these go out in a packet to the committee. I review the packet. Jeff sends me the invoices. Sometimes we receive them concurrently, but in any event, we talk back and forth, and I review the invoice in accordance with the vendor or construction manager's contract to make sure it's in accordance with that contract. So I have reviewed all the invoices and I have signed off and approved them. If anyone has any specific questions on the invoices, please feel free to ask.
Any questions for Marnie? Seeing none. I mean, this is going to be something we'll be doing on a regular basis through the project. It was actually Marnie's suggestion. I actually like it. It gives the committee a little bit more control. We know where the money is actually going. We'll see it. We have an opportunity to review it and ask questions at upcoming meetings. So with that, if someone would like to make a motion that we approve the invoices as presented for payment. I'm reading Mike's lips. He's making the motion.
Like to make a motion to approve the invoices as presented.
Thank you, Mike. And a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. I've asked once, but I'll ask again. Any questions? Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Anyone opposed? The motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Next item is discuss and take action on potential alternate bid items. Maybe a little misleading under that title. I think it's going to be changed a little bit as far as the description goes. And I think Marnie, Tom is going to be the one that presents this. So Tom, I know you're on the call.
Yeah. So Tom Newfield, Jennifer KBA, myself, and Jim Giuliano have had a lot of meetings and discussions over the last couple of weeks to identify potential add or deduct alternates, as you will, otherwise known as value engineering for the project. Now, just to clarify to the group, these are items that we put into the bid documents so that bidders can give us value engineering options that are at the discretion of the committee. If bids come in budget and we don't have to make any choices like that, we don't make any choices like that. But these are items that we've identified can be broken out in the bid documents to give the committee options in the case that the pricing does come in over and how we're going to rectify that problem. So with that being said, Tom's going to present what we've come up with as a group and share his screen with us. So he's going to take it from here. And of course, we're all available for questions.
Thank you, Marnie.
Okay, thank you, Marnie. Can everybody see the log on the screen?
Yes, we can now.
Okay. So as Marnie mentioned, we developed these with the team, and then our estimators priced these items. There's only 4 items on the list right now. So the first one is an alternate courtyard design. This is based on discussions. Brennan, the landscape architect, is developing an alternate design that will be included in the documents that are going to be issued on Friday. So this pricing may change slightly, but this is what we discussed. There's a potential to save around $400,000 by revising the design. And you can see some of the items that we're looking at is, taking away the synthetic turf, which also deducts the concrete curb nailers. Then we have to add back, of course, topsoil and sod in an irrigation system. But the net savings could be $404,000. Second item is to reuse the under slab sanitary piping at all areas except E and F wing. Those pipes were scoped. The engineer says that we can jet them out and reuse them in areas A, B, C, and D. They could not scope E and F. So that's why this value engineering is for those other areas except E and F, because we don't know what the condition of those pipes are. There's a potential savings of almost $360,000. Item 3 is deletion of the gym canopy. This is the small, okay, this is the small one that's over the gym doors. This is not the new canopy shown at the main entrance. It's right next to it, but this is actually the smaller canopy. So there's a $25,000 savings there. And the fourth one is deletion of the main entry canopy. This is the architectural element that's been shown and explained at the main entrance. There's a potential to save $65,000 there. Hope we don't have to go there. Hope that we don't have to go there with any of these, but we'll see on the next round of estimates.
So, Tom, I'd like to just weigh in at this point. Can you back out of this view a little bit?
Sure.
Just make it a little smaller. So I just wanted to talk the committee through each of these. And Jennifer with KBA hopefully can bring up the applicable pages of the drawings so that the committee can view these and ask any questions. So we really focus primarily on the courtyard for value engineering because as we all saw, Castle Booths has given us a beautiful courtyard design. I think well up and above everyone's expectations, and we really hope that bids come in such that we can realize everything that Jennifer and Brennan have put into that courtyard. But that being said, we focused on that as a value engineering option so that we could still give the school, give the committee a courtyard design, but maybe pull some cost out of that. So primarily, we substituted the synthetic turf with lawn areas with irrigation because we understand you can't really get a lawn to sustain itself without irrigation. So that $404,000 savings amount does include deleting the synthetic turf, but adding back lawn and irrigation, as well as a couple other smaller changes. I wanted to relate to the committee again, that our objective when we go into value engineering, our first objective is to bring the owner's contingency up to 5% of the project costs. So 5% is what the state will reimburse for owner contingency. And at the last budget presentation, I believe we were at 4.22%. So if we were to just select, once bids come in, the alternate courtyard design, which would give us the $404,000 savings, we would boost our contingency over 5%. It's something like 5.35%. So we would be in a great position if that's what ended up on bid day. The other 3 alternates we are proposing for the committee's consideration. Again, as a just in case scenario, they don't have to be selected unless the committee decides to select them after bids come in. We are able to design the bid documents so that bidders provide us pricing for these alternates, but it doesn't mean that they've been selected by the committee. That decision does not need to be made until after bids have been received and we see where we're at with pricing. So I just want to give everybody that little recap. And if anyone has questions regarding the individual alternates, please speak up and we can answer them.
I saw, Jason, I saw your hand was up. Is there a question you have? And you're muted, Jason, but I see your hand is down now. Oh, Jason is the superintendent now. No. We're playing hopscotch here with pictures. All right, now Jason is gone.
In your order, you've got Amy and then Danielle.
Okay, yep. Amy, go ahead.
Thanks. So being new, I don't know what number 2 is. It seems like a lot of money if it's not something that's like, I mean, sanitary piping sounds like important to me, but it seems like a lot of money to be able to save if we don't have to do it. So I'm just wondering what that is. If we didn't do, what is that? If we didn't do that item, what does that mean to the project?
Sure. So I'd like to speak to that. The existing plumbing, sanitary, and storm lines that run under the building. The design team and the group wondered if they were in good enough condition to reuse, or if they, based on their age, required replacement, because it was a large dollar value, as you can see, by the $359,000 figure. So the committee had approved sending in a plumber with a consultant that actually put a camera down all of these lines, the lines under the main building that was in the front, as well as the classroom wings and the new addition in the back. The attempt was to scope all of those lines and provide video footage of the results to the plumbing engineer for recommendation. So we were able to camera all of the lines except the classroom wing that is closest to the parking areas. We call that the E&F wing, or otherwise known as the West Wing. The hardship there was that the clean outs that allow us access to put the camera in to see what's inside the pipe, well, they were not accessible. We think that the walls or the cabinetry were actually built on top of those clean outs. So the plumber was not able to locate them. The video footage showed that all of the lines were in good condition. The plumbing engineer, however, recommended that we water jet. I believe it was the sanitary lines, because there was some buildup in them, typical of their age. So the scope of work, what we would have bidders do is we would water jet the lines, clean them, and we would reuse all of the lines except the ones that we could not see, which are an E&F wing. And we do that because we want to err on the side of caution. Since we can't see it, we want to make sure we've got costs in the project to replace those lines if something's going on that we couldn't identify. So the savings you see there of the $359,360 include reusing all of the underground lines within the building footprint, except for that classroom wing. So, I want to also further the discussion that we understand that the committee may want to replace all of those lines anyway, even though they've been scoped and they appear to be fine for reuse. We have talked, the architect and Newfield and I, about setting up the bid documents to have an alternate price to replace all of them, just in case that's what the committee would like to do. But we can confirm the plumbing engineers reviewed the camera footage and everything appears as if it could be reused. Again, except for E&F, which we're going to include costs for replacement. Thank you, Jennifer. So Jennifer, can you kind of circle the area,
It's
Yes.
actually me. This is Ian F.
awesome. Thanks,
Thank you,
Tom.
Tom.
So that's the classroom wing where we couldn't access to put the camera down. And the green and the red lines represent the storm and sanitary piping that's underneath the slab.
Amy, do you have any other questions?
No, thank you. That answers it and exactly what, we are taking a chance essentially if we choose as a committee not to replace those lines.
Yep, we have options.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Danielle?
My concern is if we put the, and I listened to you last time, Mr. Woods, if we do away with sod, keeping that grass, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can.
Keeping the grass, like you can't use pesticides, it's kids. That was like if that struck home, I would never have thought about that. So thank you. And then although it's an upfront cost savings, I'm thinking about it like Board of Ed is going to have to pay for that irrigation, which I would think is going to be pretty costly because water isn't cheap. So I just want to not cut off our nose to spite our face looking at that first, the alternative courtyard design.
Okay. Again, I'm going to try to reiterate this. I think Marnie's brought it up a couple times. These are we won't make these decisions until it's after the bids are put out, right?
Okay.
So they're going to, from what I'm reading here, these will all be deduct alternates. So the job is going to bid exactly as it's planned. And then each of the contractors with their respective fields to these 4 alternates that we have, they will price them accordingly, and they would be a deduct to the price in case we need money. Right now, we don't need money. And as Tom said, once we get to the next phase of budgeting, that's when we're going to know better.
Okay.
All
Thank you.
Yep. Kim, you had your hand up next, and then Jeremy.
Yeah, and this may have come up previously. Again, it's question regarding the piping. The age, what is the current age of all the piping, sanitary piping that we have underneath the buildings, and what is an average, if you can give that, age expectancy? I'm just wondering where we are in that continuum.
Marnie or Tom?
Actually, Jennifer, if you could remind us the age of the different areas of the building.
Yes, so the areas that were scoped are circa around like 1954, 1955, somewhere around there. So that's the original portion of the building. They were able to get to those lines. That one wing that we couldn't get to was constructed within a year or two, right after that 1954-55. That other wing was constructed. We just can't see that area. So that's the age of that piping. Up in, if you're familiar with the school, the green area that's shown on the screen right now, that was an addition that was done around 2000. So that piping is a lot newer, obviously. So it's that blue area that we couldn't see, the orange that we were able to see. And the blue and orange is from the 1950s. Unfortunately, I can't comment with certainty on the expectant age of the underground piping from the 1950s. It is cast iron. We think it can be jetted and cleaned, the portion that we recommend cleaning, that it could be cleaned without impact to the pipes. It shouldn't damage them in any way. Our engineers know that for reimbursement for this project, it's a renovation project. It has special status from the state for reimbursement. And as such, anything we plan to do really should be good for 20 years. You shouldn't have to go back and do projects and need more funding for systems, large systems and things for 20 years. So they felt confident that we'd be okay for 20 years, but I can't really comment on whether it's another 50 years or anything without talking to them again.
Thank you.
Okay, Jeremy.
Thanks, Steve. Just to kind of, Kim kind of touched on what I was thinking about, the age, the expected life expectancy of these components. Obviously, at this point, they're 70 years old. So I guess this question is for Marnie. When they're looking at these, this value management algorithm, are you taking into consideration parts of the building and the ages of the existing materials and their life expectancy when kind of building that priority, top-down list?
Absolutely. So, there's a lot of things we look at when we identify value engineering. And I do want to stress that the committee is absolutely part of this process. If any member would like us to look at value engineering components of the building that we haven't identified, we are open to anything, whether it's value engineering windows or interior finishes or mechanical equipment. What we look at primarily as a group is what we kind of call it the low-hanging fruit, the items that we can value engineer without a significant impact to the program for the educational program as well as the overall quality of the project. So the plumbing lines, we would hope that we can replace them all. Additionally, the rest of the building, other than the structural steel, we are replacing everything. Everything else is new. So there's really not too much of an analysis of age of the remaining components and what's going to last, because other than the steel and some exterior walls, for example, on your gym and the front part of the building, we're replacing all the exterior walls in the classroom wings. We're replacing all of the windows. We're replacing the roof. Incidentally, we did look at value engineering the roof. We're currently specifying a PBC roof, which is the top of the line product in this day and age. It's the cream of the crop. It holds up the best. It has the best construction. All of the seams are welded. It's far superior to any other type of roof. We did, as a group, look at value engineering that to an EPDM roof. And, the reduction in quality was just not, as a group, we weren't comfortable coming to this committee with that as an option. It's out there, we can do it, but the savings, I think it was somewhere between $20,000 and $30,000. The savings that we would realize and the comments we got back from the roofing subcontractors that Newfield talked to about the quality of the flashings, we just didn't feel it was a feasible option, especially with what you folks have been going through with a leaking roof for so many years. So there are other things in the project we can value engineer, other aesthetic things. But again, we try to retain the top quality, get you everything you can, and go for the VE items that have the least impact on your program. But again, please throw anything out there that you would like us to look at.
Thank you.
You all set, Jeremy?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, so I guess the only action we need to take on this, Marnie, is that we're going to include it as of now in our bid documents, correct?
Absolutely. We wanted to let you know what we were proposing to include in the bid documents and answer any questions, and also let you know that if anybody has any other ideas, not just tonight, but going forward, to please let us know.
Okay, I don't think it's going to require formal action. I think you just go ahead and include it, and then it's going to give us obviously some opportunities to try to save some money if necessary, the day after the bids come in. And then my guess is this list might get a little bit bigger as time goes on, if there's some other things we find. Actually, there's one question I'll ask Tom. When the wing that we could not do the scoping in, I'm assuming at some point we will find those cleanouts through the construction process. I mean, is it worth it at that point to then go ahead and scope those? Because the savings is significant. And again, if the cast iron's in good shape, and I'm assuming it is because our engineer is recommending that it'll meet the guidelines for the 20-year minimum life expectancy, it might be something that we want to look at to just see.
Yes, absolutely. We would, cut holes in the slab or whatever we have to do to get to that pipe, scope it, and then we'll probably have another alternate just for that wing. So if we could reuse it, we could, get more savings.
Okay. All right. So then why don't we just go ahead and, we'll leave this as the first 4, deduct alternates, and we'll see if there's anything that we add down the road. Unless anybody has an objection, I think we'll move on. All right, we're going to move on to architects update. Jennifer.
Okay. Hi. Few things that have been going on our side. We did receive on Tuesday night approval from Conservation Commission. So that was great to hear. They had pretty much their 10 standard conditions for the project that they gave to us. But they're pretty generic and standard. They're not so project specific. It's just the normal course of action. So that was good news. We also met with the town planner and town engineer since the last meeting. It's been some time since we met, but we met with them to go over some site plan review comments that they had. They'd sent us comments and we wanted some clarification and discussion about them. So we had this meeting and it was very helpful. We talked through some circulation items and drainage, and we've prepared formal responses to their questions and comments. We plan to send them updated drawings next week along with a formal response letter, so that they can see that we've addressed everything that they've asked for. There's nothing really big in the responses and in the issues. They were pretty basic. When it came to any of the circulation things they asked about, we did not revise any circulation. We really dealt with things like signage, placement of signage and striping, and talked about district policy so that people would understand, especially in the beginning of this project, since the circulation will be different than what they have now, how to get the users, parents and everybody comfortable with new circulation routes. So that was what a lot of our discussion was about. We do plan to present to planning and zoning as a courtesy in January. So now that we've been able to get through the comments and have discussions with the town, we'll have that planning and zoning presentation. We're also coming up on a DEEP general permit application that we'll be submitting, and that's a requirement for the scope of work that we're doing. Generally standard stuff. We do have a deadline tomorrow actually for a 90% construction document set. So those drawings will be forwarded electronically to Newfield so they can look at them for estimating purposes. This is the next milestone and check-in as far as estimating goes. And I believe they'll also be looking at them for constructability, and they'll ask questions so that we can try to resolve any last minute things as we wrap up the project before we go to bid. Make sure that we're all that things are covered and make sense, and and so on, and have that check-in as far as the estimate goes, make sure we're still on track with what the budget is for construction. We also give that same set to our estimator as we have in the other milestone estimate check-ins. So there'll be our independent estimator doing work, and then we'll, just like before, come together in January with Newfield's analysis and our estimator's analysis, and make sure that everybody again is on the same page, that we're not missing anything as far as the estimate goes, so that we know that we're on track. Another item that we've been working on is with the technology estimate. I think I even reported at the last meeting that we were getting some information together so we could work with the district on identifying really precisely what technology is required and what the budget should be for technology. Even back in the grant estimate, there was a line item for technology for this project. And we just want to make sure that that number is still good, make sure that that's what we should be carrying, or if we find out that we need to make adjustments because technology has changed, or the needs have changed, or perhaps the owner has purchased certain things and now won't need to. All that stuff, we're trying to work through that with people in the district to make sure that number is good and we can plan for that. A lot of technology is actually, it's not normally part of the construction contract. A lot of it is purchased as a soft cost. So in your overall project budget worksheet that Marnie had put together and that you had when you had a grant estimate, the technology item is in a soft cost for the most part. There are some pieces that go in construction, but a lot of the equipment is in soft costs. So there is still time if bids were to come in high in construction, maybe some modifications could be made to what you need for technology, but we want to have a good idea now where we are, and if it would impact you taking alternates or having a deduct alternate, we want to be prepared for that. We're also we've worked on the furniture budget, and we will be bringing this to you with more detail soon. When we worked up a furniture budget based on a combination of educational specifications and meeting with the staff at the school and administration, we were able to determine what we think everybody needs going forward in their classrooms, new program areas. And we did a listing of every classroom, what all the furniture items are, and put unit costs to each furniture item. If it's all new, and if it would all be purchased, let's say at the end of construction, is one option. If it's all purchased at once at the end, if it's all new and you don't reuse anything existing, the value that we're coming up with, considering escalation and contingency and markups that are currently happening in that industry right now, we would be over the budget line item that you currently are holding. And that concerns us. So we want to bring to you, possibly at the next meeting, if not that one, it would be the one after, but we want to bring to you soon some options. And one is we could inventory existing furniture and determine what types of furniture, how many pieces, what would be available for reuse as an option, a cost-saving option. So that's one thing. Another option is looking at when do we plan on purchasing furniture for the project? Do we do it in phases? Do we purchase all up front and store it? There's various options, and they can affect, of course, escalation. They can affect other costs. So we want to bring some concrete information to you so we can, have a plan moving forward with furniture and getting that line item on track. I think, sorry, I'm just looking at my list, want to make sure I cover it all. And I think I think that's it. So if you have any questions about any of those items, please go
Any
ahead.
questions for Jennifer? Anyone? Doesn't look like it, Jennifer. I think you're off the hook. Thank
Okay.
you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
Glad to see too that you're on schedule with the construction documents. That's great. That's great news. Tom, you have anything else?
And the only other thing I have to add to what was already discussed, I just wanted to go over a couple of the upcoming schedule milestones. So as Jennifer mentioned, we're planning the informal planning and zoning approval on at their January 12th meeting. We'll be finishing up the estimate around that time and reconciling. So we plan to present the estimate and the approval to go to the final state meeting at your January 20th meeting. And that will be followed by approvals from the Board of Ed on January 26th and Town Council on February 8th. And the PCR, that final meeting with the state, is scheduled for February 9th. So those are the upcoming milestones. We're on schedule. We'll just keep it that way. That's all I have.
With the council approval, did you factor in 2 meetings or just 1? Because they usually require 2. And I'm sure
I just have 1 meeting in.
yeah, they're going to want 2. I'll be surprised. Mike, you could confirm that, but I'm pretty sure we're going to have to go to 2.
We'll go to 2.
Yeah. So it'd be the 8th, and I don't have a calendar that far out in front of me. So whatever the 2nd and 4th.
22nd,
What is it?
22nd.
22nd. Okay, Tom.
Okay.
So we would get approval from them on the 22nd of February for the town
Okay,
council.
and you're saying we can't go to the state before we get that approval? Because we have that PCR meeting scheduled for the 9th.
I can't answer that question. Can anybody answer that question? Lou, Maureen, Jeff?
Will the details be available on the 21st of January?
We have drawings. I don't know if the estimate and everything would be
Yeah.
presented at the 21st.
The 21st of January is a Friday, right? So,
Right.
yeah, no, we will have the estimate reconciled on the 20th. So yeah, that's,
Okay, if you have the details by that date, I can ensure that that would be on the agenda as long as leadership's in agreement with it, which would allow you for first presentation on the 25th and approval on the 8th of February to meet your 9th date.
So let's try to see if we can't make that goal. Okay.
all right. That would be the day before the Board of Ed approves it. Is that okay?
Yeah, because we won't do it until the 25th and they can do it theirs on the 26th.
Okay.
I think it'll be all right.
Jennifer, you okay with 121 for the agenda item?
Amy, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I'm just wondering, does the board need 2 meetings as well? I'm assuming it's like Robert's rules. I wasn't
No,
sure.
it isn't. It's not required to be Robert's rules for 2 meetings. It's just, it's the council rules. That's
Okay.
typically, so they would need to suspend their rules to do it. Again, I've been on the board for a long time, but I don't
Okay.
believe that's how the board,
You probably know much better than I do. Thank you.
okay. So that's it, Tom?
That's it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Construction managers update. Marnie, back to you. You have anything else for us?
There we go. I was just trying to unmute myself. I think the only other thing I'd like to bring up is that we're going to be primarily Castle Blues putting together a draft for our space waiver letter. And then, of course, reaching out to Maureen or others as needed to put that together to get that submitted to the state so we can finalize that situation. Also, just so everyone's aware, there have been meetings going on behind the scenes regarding the temporary classrooms that will need to be constructed as we move through each phase. So Newfield has been working with Jason at the school, and myself and Castle Booze have been available as necessary. Those swing spaces have all been determined, and the layout of temporary partitions and whatnot has been developed, as well as temporary HVAC and power and how all that's going to work. Just wanted to let the committee know that's been going on behind the scenes, so that when construction starts, part of the first activities that take place are fitting out those temporary spaces, so that rooms that need to be vacated, that everyone has somewhere to go. Other than that, I'm all set.
Okay, thank
Oh,
you.
one last question. I know that the budget that I presented at the last meeting was sent out, as well as a copy of the original grant estimate or grant budget. I wanted to just clarify for the committee how monies had moved from that original budget to where we are today. So I'm available either tonight or really anytime if anyone has any questions on what I've sent out. It was a lot of information to take in. But please, if anyone's got any questions now or in the future, just let me know.
Okay, thank you, Marnie. Any questions right now for Marnie? No? Okay. Well, we'll move on. Any other business pertinent to the committee? I don't have anything. Jeff, do you have anything for us other than our
No, I do
next
not have
meeting?
anything. That you find your next meeting is going to be on January 6th.
Okay. So if everybody could put that in their calendars. Next is public participation, and I think we still have 0.
Still 0.
Comments by members? Anyone have anything? Daniel, we got you out of here in time for your performance tonight, right? Okay, motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you. And all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 We stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you. Have a good
Night.
night.
Thank you.
you.
Good night.